hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm Leslie Adent with Southern Manatee Fire Rescue, and we're here today at Manatee County's Emergency Communication Center. It's 911. It's where the calls come in when you dial that important number. So come on, let's go in and talk to some of the people who work here. So here we are in the Emergency Communication Center where you called 911, and we're with
Tanya.
And what is your job?
I answer 911 emergency calls when somebody calls and has an emergency.
Okay.
They pick up the phone and call 911.
And you are their first contact when they dial that number, correct?
Yes.
And what important questions are you going to ask that you need answers to?
The most important question that we will answer immediately, or we need answered immediately, is what is the address of the emergency? That is most important. All children should know their address.
Okay, and what if there's somewhere where they don't know the address?
Well, they can stay on the line if they are on a street corner, if they can look at the signs where they're at. They can tell us maybe they're on a corner of 14th Street and Cortez or whatever they're at. And we also have a way that we can push a button on our screen that will kind of pinpoint in the area of where they're at. It may not be an exact address, but we'll find out exactly where they're located.
Okay, and what other questions will you ask them while they're on the phone?
We will ask them the phone number, and we need them to tell us exactly what happened. That is a very important thing. They'll say, okay, tell me exactly what happened. They might say something like, my mommy's on the floor, she can't get up, or I hurt my knee and I need help. My sister's locked in a vehicle. Whatever the situation is, they need to be able to tell what the problem is.
Engine 311, truck 343, engine 331 and battalion 3, report of a house fire, number 605 Madison Street. Repeating for engine 311, truck 343, engine 331 and battalion 3, report of a house fire, number 605 Madison Street. Respond on TAC 12 at 946.
Impatient Pamela calls 911.
Hello kids, welcome to Southern Manatee Station 5. I'm Firefighter Kyle. Today we're going to read a book called Impatient Pamela Calls 911. Let's check it out.
Pamela was very impatient. She always wanted to learn new things right now. One day, she and Martin played in piles of leaves. They had a wonderful time flinging leaves high up in the air. That night, Pamela's hair was full of little tree branches and leaves. Mama, will you teach me how to put my hair in a ponytail so it doesn't get so tangled? Pamela asked. I suppose you are old enough to learn that. I'll show you tomorrow. May I do it now, Mama, please? Pamela asked. Tomorrow is soon enough, Pamela. Off to sleep now. Tomorrow, tomorrow. I always have to wait for tomorrow, Pamela said sleepily as her cat, Meow Man, curled up at her feet. She dreamt of leaves and branches and climbing trees and tangle-free hair. The next morning, Pamela's mother taught her how to comb her hair back. how to hold all of her hair in one clump with one hand and how to put on the hairband. Pamela was thrilled. She had a ponytail. That night, her mother said, "I think it is time you learned your address." "May I do it now, Mama?" Pamela begged, already knowing that she lived on Rainbow Drive. "No, we'll start in the morning." With Meow Man at her feet, Pamela dreamt about addresses that rhymed with rainbow, like Stain Row, and Plain Black Crow, and Fainting Arrow. The next morning, her mother said their address aloud, over and over again. By lunchtime, Pamela could remember every word. 1405 Rainbow Drive. Pamela went to play with Martin. They played in piles of leaves, they climbed trees in Martin's backyard, and they had snacks on Martin's back steps. Every now and then, Pamela would remember her address. Pamela told Martin her address. Martin knew his own telephone number, 555-3305. "Well, Pamela," her mother asked her that evening, "can you remember your address?" Pamela said her address loudly. Her mother kissed Pamela's cheek. "That's my girl," she said proudly. Pamela wanted to learn how to use the telephone. Martin knows his own telephone number. "Please, may I?" she pleaded. "Okay, Pamela, I'll teach you tomorrow." "Promise?" asked Pamela, hoping her mother wouldn't forget. "Promise," said Pamela's mother. That night, Pamela dreamt of addresses and telephone numbers, and calling Martin to invite him over to play. "May I use the telephone now, Mama?" Pamela asked the next morning. "No, I need to finish a few chores first." Pamela waited impatiently. She sat and stared at the telephone, tapping her fingers on all the buttons and pulling on the telephone cord. She waited and waited. She twirled her ponytail around with her fingers. She counted to 10 in her mind. 7, 8, 9. "Can you reach the number keys?" Pamela's mother finally asked. "Yes, I can," said Pamela. "First, you pick up the receiver and listen for a dial tone. Then you press the numbers you want to call." "How will I know Martin's number?" asked Pamela, a little worried. "When you are older, you can read numbers from the telephone book. For now, here are some important numbers." "May I call that one, Mama? 911? Pamela asked. "No. You may only press 911 if you need help. You may call Martin, though." So Pamela called Martin, and they had a good talk. That night, with Meow Man at her feet, Pamela dreamt of telephone books and chalkboards and numbers and flashing buttons. The next morning, Pamela saw a cat in a tree. She ran in the house. "Mama, there's a cat in the tree next door. May I call 911 now, Mama?" "No," said Pamela's mother. "The cat will jump down all by itself. It doesn't need help." Pamela frowned. Then she saw her neighbor, Jessica, trying to push a broken bicycle. "Mama, Mama," Pamela called. "Jessica's bicycle is broken. May I call 911? May I do it now, Mama?" "No, you may only call 911 when a person needs help. Jessica's bicycle doesn't need 911. Pamela was disappointed. She was impatient to call 911. Martin came over and he and Pamela had sandwiches at the picnic table. Suddenly, Martin choked on a bite of his sandwich and he couldn't make any noise. Pamela ran to her mother. "Mama, something's wrong with Martin." Pamela's mother rushed to Martin and patted his back, but he still could not breathe very well. She did the Heimlich squeeze, which helps people who are choking. But it wasn't working on Martin. "What can I do, Mama?" cried Pamela. Call 911, her mother instructed, and stay calm. Pamela hurried to the telephone. She pressed 911 very carefully. A woman's voice answered the phone. 911, do you have an emergency? "I do," answered Pamela as bravely as she could. "My friend is choking, and my mother is trying to help him, but he can't breathe. Do you know the address?" "Yes, 1405 Rainbow Drive. Help is on the way, but don't hang up the phone." Soon a truck with flashing lights arrived, and the helpers got Martin to breathe again. They took Martin to the hospital to make sure he was okay. When Martin came home, Pamela got to bring him some ice cream. That night, when her father put Pamela to bed, he said, "It's a good thing you learned how to dial 911. "I'm glad I knew how, Daddy." "So am I, Pamela. You did a brave thing." He kissed her cheek and tucked her in. Pamela dreamt of flashing lights and ice cream and dialing 911. Meow Man purred away at her feet.
Well, I think that was a great book, and Pamela learned a valuable lesson on how to use 911. You guys should also go home and talk to your parents about when the right time to call 911 is. Thanks again for hanging out with me today, and I love the book, and I hope you did too.
Hi, Cell Phone Sally here to tell you all you need to know about calling 911. Emergencies are just part of life. They happen to people every day. Do you know how to call 911 in an emergency? It's easy. This song will help you be prepared so you don't have to be scared. You don't need to worry, just pick up the phone. Press 911 and you're never alone. Getting help is easily done, as easy as 911. It's an emergency, how do you know? There's a fire!
Someone broke in through a window!
Somebody's scaring me!
There's been an accident!
I've lost my parents, I don't know where they went!
I think I should call, but I just can't decide.
Go ahead and call, someone's standing by. You don't have to handle it all by yourself. 911 is there to help. You don't need to worry, just pick up the phone. Press 911 and you're never alone. Getting help is easily done, as easy as 911. So what do I say when they say to me,
"Hello, 911, where is your emergency?"
Tell them what's going on and where you can be found. And if you're not sure, take a look around. Be sure you know your phone number and your address. But wait, stay cool, don't hang up yet. When they finish saying all they have to say, help is on its way. You don't need to worry, just pick up the phone. Press 911 and you're never alone. Getting help is easily done, as easy as 911. Emergencies happen every day, that's just how it goes. When you know how to call for help, this on this toy cell phone.
Sally, you sure that's not a real phone? 911 is no joke, you know.
Yes. Now I'll be the caller. First, I press 911.
Hey, don't forget to press send.
Send?
Yeah, it's that button with the little green thing on it.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, 911. Where is your emergency?
Well, I see a restaurant called Groovy Grill and a post office across the street.
What are you reporting?
2 cars just crashed, and I think somebody needs an ambulance.
What is your name, dear?
Sally! Cell phone Sally!
What is your address and phone number?